Okay, thank you. Members, I think we can get started. Am I still sharing? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes,
Yes, doctor.
Yes, sir. We're sharing.
So members, today we are going to talk about monitoring and evaluation of health promotion programs. You have a series of health-related programs outside there. I'm sorry about the noise in my background. Give me some bit of time. Are you still hearing a lot of noise in the background, or it has reduced?
it has reduced,
It's
sir.
not fine.
Okay. Sorry, but I think, of course, the video may not be very clear now. So just allow me put off my video. So members, I request that probably you sign in. You write your rightful name and your rightful registration number, so that Derek can be able to take for us the attendance record. I can see we have 45 people in class now. So that means if we are expecting more than that number, of course, I'm the 44th person. We are now 45th. I'm the 45th person. That means if you are expecting more than that, then probably some people have not yet joined. So we are going to talk about monitoring and evaluation, and today I want us to be as brief as possible. And tomorrow we are going to meet at 9:30 a.m. in the morning using a different link, which I've already shared with Derek. And I expect you to keep time. I'm still contemplating whether tomorrow I should give coursework for you to start working on, or I give the subsequent weekend. So, but by the time we reach tomorrow, I will appropriately inform you. So I want us to look briefly about the overview of monitoring and evaluation. These are the objectives. By the end of the module, I expect you to be able to differentiate between monitoring, the word monitoring, and then the other word, evaluation. They are not the same, they are different, although they are always coined together as monitoring and evaluation. So I expect you at the end of this module to be able to know very clearly what is monitoring, what is evaluation. Then you should also be able to explain the importance of monitoring and project management. Why do you have to monitor something? And you should know the steps in conducting monitoring and evaluation activities. This may not be stereotype as such, but when you are given a platform to conduct monitoring activity, what should be some of the steps that you should go through for you to do a good job? So by definition, monitoring is regular data collection, analysis, and use of derived information in order to assist timely decision-making, ensure accountability, and provide the basis for evaluation and learning. From this definition, ladies and gentlemen, you can be able to see very clearly that's why we do monitoring is for us to be able to use the information we have derived from the monitoring activities. And we use those information so that you are able to make timely decisions. You are able to be accountable. And you are also able to set a benchmark or a platform for evaluation and learning. So you need to collect data on regular basis. This data that you have collected, data about anything that you are doing, you need to collect data about it on regular basis. When you have collected data, analyze the data. When you have analyzed the data, then you use the result of the analysis now to, we call it information. You now use it in order to make decisions. So when it is not yet processed, then you talk of it as data. It is raw data. When you have collected raw data about certain activities, then eventually you should be able to analyze and make use of it, of the information that accrue from the data you have collected and analyzed. When you do such, then we know you are doing monitoring. I don't want to make it more complicated, but let me use simple terms. We are starting our journey today with you for the next 3 weekends, discussing monitoring and evaluation of health promotion programs. Members, are you able to hear me very well? Am I audible enough?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then. So we are starting our journey in monitoring and evaluation of health promotion programs. So we need to be collecting certain data about what we have been doing or what we will be doing for these 3 weeks. One of the data is data related to your record of attendance. Data related to your record of the daily attendance. Each time we have a module, we need to be sure that you have attended, and it is not just attendance. Then I also need to personally collect data about your active participation. Attendance alone is not enough. I need to be sure you are contributing to the discussion that we have. So I need to have that data. Then when I give coursework, I need data about how many people have enrolled for the coursework. The number of people enrolled for the coursework, then the number of people who have submitted coursework and who have submitted in time. Then when I give exam, I need the number of people who have turned up for the exam. So cumulatively, I can collect a series of data. Also on my part, I need to collect data on the number of lectures given and the timing of the lectures, each lecture that has been given. So you realize when you cumulatively bring together all these, then we say you are doing a monitoring function. And when we collect all this data, maybe the dean of the faculty or the university management, at some point they will want this information. So that means when they get this information, they will analyze the data and draw a conclusion. And when they have drawn a conclusion, they can use it to make improvement, to make decision that the lecture was okay, that the course unit was well covered, that everything went on well. So when you do such, it means you are doing monitoring. So from that simple analogy, from that simple description, you can bear with me that you can do monitoring in many areas. But our emphasis is not to do monitoring in all those areas. Our emphasis is to do monitoring in health promotion projects. In health promotion project, you should be, the project should be health related. But otherwise, monitoring can be applied to broader fields than just health. Okay. So that is that with monitoring. And the power of monitoring results. If you do not measure result, then you cannot tell success from failures. Many times, if you have failed to measure result, that means you cannot tell the difference between success and failures. You can only tell that difference if you are able to measure result. If you cannot see success, then you cannot reward success. And then if you cannot reward success, then you are probably rewarding failures. You are rewarding failure in disguise. Yeah? Just because you who should do it, you don't know. So that is how important it is. We need to know success, and we need to tell the difference between success and failures, so that when we are rewarding success, we can reward it appropriately. And when we are also rewarding failures, we reward it knowingly. If you cannot see success, you cannot also learn from it. One of the goals of monitoring is that you should be able to learn from the process. And for you to learn from the process many times, yes, whether it is a negative result or positive result, you will learn from either process, so that you begin to do your things better. And then if you cannot recognize failures, then that means you cannot even correct it. You will be able to carry on failures from January to January, from year A to year X, which will not be good. Hey, Alex YB. Yeah, you mute yourself, Alex. Is this one YB? Alex B.
Yes,
Who is
please.
Alex?
I've muted the Dr. Omona. I've muted. This is Alex. Where are you?
Yes, you write your name in full.
Sorry, sir. Okay then.
Don't write Alex B. So, colleagues, I want you from this point to be thinking about which health promotion programs are you interested in? Be thinking through right now, because in the next few days, I will give you an assignment for you to continue to improve until the end of our engagement. So if you cannot demonstrate result, then you cannot also win public support. For you to win public support, you need to demonstrate results. Are you seeing this slide, members?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So monitoring is a systematic attempt to examine program operation, including coverage and delivery of services, by assessing what was supposed to have been done and determining if it was actually done as planned. As planned within the planned time frame. And also maybe for the rightful targeted population and in an effective way. So the information generated, am I still sharing?
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
yes. You're sharing the link.
Okay. The information generated helps compare how well a project is being implemented vis-a-vis the expected results, thereby enabling managers and stakeholders to make the necessary adjustment for the project. Normally, when you are implementing a project, you don't implement it rigidly. At some point, you may be required to make some adjustment. And what have you? That means for you to make those adjustments, you need to be closely, you need to closely follow your project. You need to be completely in the know of the project you are implementing. And the tools that you are using for implementing the project should be at your fingertips. If the tools are not at your fingertips, you will make mistakes. So why do we monitor? We monitor in order to find out whether assumptions are still correct. Sometimes when you're implementing a project, you put in place certain assumptions. And you need to be sure that these assumptions are still valid, these assumptions are still correct, these assumptions are still working. For example, you are implementing your project, you have anticipated that you needed money for A, B, C, D. You should make the assumption that this money will always be available for you to carry on your activities. So in the event that the assumption has changed, then you may not monitor well. We also monitor in order to make evidence-based decision and take appropriate action. Remember the definition of monitoring. You regularly collect data, analyze the data, and use the derived information to make decisions. So why we monitor is for you to be able to get evidence-based decision. And when you are to make evidence-based decision, then you should be able to take appropriate action. You should be able to take appropriate action. Hey, Derek, you help me with this with Nyamugisa Gloria. Nyamugisa Gloria, please.
You didn't give me the co-host rights. I would have been muting her already.
Okay, it's going to delay us. I will handle it a little later. Now, colleagues, you can now see the reason why we need to be physical. Nyamugisa Gloria is deceiving us that she's in class, but she's in her own world. The computer is attending for her the lectures. Then at the right time, when you begin to want her to give you a feedback of what she has learned, that's when you'll discover that learning did not take place. So next week, we are going to meet physically in Rubaga, and also the week after next week. So why monitor? We monitor in order to identify things that are not being done well, that should be changed, should be abandoned, or should be improved. Sometimes you have so many things, monitoring is a learning process. You need to learn from the process. So if you have discovered that probably something is not being done right, you can either change it or abandon it, or you improve it. Then, as I've said earlier on, you also monitor in order to learn about and document on the task that is being implemented. Then, for purpose of accountability, still I want to draw you back to our definition of monitoring. So you need to be accountable to the public or to whoever is supervising you. You need to be very, very accountable, and you can only be accountable through doing effective monitoring and probably also evaluation. So what are the areas where monitoring is very crucial? Monitoring is very crucial in project backstopping, in project planning, in project reporting, in managing decision-making processes, in allocating resources, and many others. And what should be monitored? If you look at the result chain, we are going to talk about result chain very shortly. So if you look at the result chain, in the results chain, you see the input, the activities, and the output. Basically, these are the 3 areas that you monitor in the result chain. You monitor input which include human resource, money, or budgetary requirement, machines and equipment, materials, man hour, or whatever it is. Then activities related to the project you monitor. Training, seminars, renovation, construction, meetings, and what have you. Then now, the last part of what you monitor in the result chain is the output. Output, these are immediate results that you get from carrying out an activity. You get that result instantly, immediately. You have done training, you get the number of people that have been trained. As soon as that. Maybe contraceptive supply, skills acquired, or whatever it is. So those are the 3 areas that are very, very pertinent in monitoring. Meanwhile, in evaluation, you evaluate outcome and impact. Outcome and impact, they are relatively long-term results or long-term deliverables of a project. So if output is immediate, what about 2 years later or 3 years later? That means you are now talking about the outcome. Then what about 10 years later or 15 years later? You are talking about the impact. Normally, colleagues, I get frustrated when maybe I've taught you a course unit like this. Then after maybe a year or 2, I'm interacting with you and I've discovered you still don't know anything about it. I get much disturbed. Why? Because I'm interested in the outcome and also the impact of what I'm teaching you. So when we have gone through monitoring and evaluation exercise like this, I expect you now to function at a better level. You should be a better monitoring and evaluation officer in your different places of work. But if at the end of the day, you still do the same thing, then that would not be proper. That means our discussion has not created impact in you. So, in other words, we are saying input, activities, and output, they are within the control of the program manager. They are within the control. But outcome and impact, they're outside the control. They're outside the control. So how do we monitor? You monitor through doing field visits. You go to the field, you just visit the field and see what is there. You can document, you can review document. What we call document review. You can review document related to the project. That means you're already monitoring. You can monitor through reporting, through giving feedback. What feedback do people give? Normally, I think I want to encourage you colleagues, you have remembered this. Every course unit that is covered, you are supposed to do evaluation. You are supposed to evaluate the course unit. Did you know that? Derek, did you know that?
Yes, sir. I even shared the evaluation document to them.
Yes. So I want my student to evaluate this course unit at the end. The problem now, of course, it looks to be a simple exercise. At the end of it all, you find people not evaluating. So we cannot know whether we are doing right or we are doing wrong, or where we should improve, where we should not improve. So for us to be able to improve, we need those feedback from you in the form of evaluation. So that's why every course unit is important for you to evaluate. It is not optional, it is mandatory. And we get you are the direct beneficiaries, you are the users. So we get our feedback from you. So you can monitor through getting feedback. You can monitor through spot checks, through review meetings, through tracking, phone tracking, observation tracking, and many other forms of tracking. You will be monitoring. Then I want us to talk about a monitoring plan. I think tomorrow we will look at this into detail. When you are to do an effective monitoring and evaluation, it is important that you should be accustomed to the right tools that are used. One of the tools that we commonly use in monitoring and evaluation is called M&E plan. So an M&E plan is how M&E will be conducted in the life cycle of a project. So when you're a project manager, you have your health promotion project. Be sure that at least you have the M&E plan, which is well structured on how you are going to effect your monitoring and evaluation for the program. I normally find it very difficult to award marks. If maybe I share the monitoring and evaluation plan with people, then in the exam, I ask you to come up with a monitoring and evaluation project of your choice, then you cannot do it. I find it very challenging. And yet, during the class session, I will have given you the M&E plan, which I think tomorrow I should be able to give you. If not tomorrow, then a few days later, I should be able to give you. And when I give you, I expect you now to do practice, to use the M&E plan in order for you to practice how to draw a good M&E plan for your project. So M&E plan includes planning for information gathering, for reflection, for review events, for resources, for activities necessary to conduct M&E and others. And of course, for you to do effective monitoring and evaluation, there are a series of steps that you are supposed to go through when you are developing an M&E plan. This one is very, very important. You need to know it. One, you need to review existing information related to the project. Normally, when I give people some project to be working on, I may not require you to write a full project proposal. I only require you to come up with a skeleton, maybe the title of the project, maybe the goal and the objectives, then the logical framework matrix, and then the monitoring and evaluation plan, and probably also writing the report. Now, when I give you such, I expect that maybe before you come up with those, you have a document somewhere, a big document somewhere which you are reading, but you are not really presenting it to me. It is for your own personal advantage. Then you only get, for me, only those areas that I'm interested in. This is what we are meaning, that reviewing existing information. That means in that bigger document, you have all the detail of the project. So if you want to come up with a good monitoring plan, you need to review the information related to the project, that detailed information which is related to the project. It will help you a long way in coming up with your monitoring plan. Then, after reviewing that, you need to make a conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is about linkages between the cause and the effect relationship of the project. You pick out some basic concept and try to figure out how they relate with each other to cause the change that you are expecting to see. Like, for example, if you look at the logical framework matrix, which I think we shall talk about also at some point, if you look at it very well, then you will realize that for you to migrate from one level to the next, there must be some logical linkages that should flow. And many times you as the project head, you are the one who knows those linkages. The people you work with, they may not know those linkages. So this is very, very important. That conceptual framework we may need to draw after reviewing the existing information related to the project. Then you pick out the major concept and try to draw linkages between them. Then you also identify what are your monitoring goals and objectives. Without monitoring goals and objectives, you are as good as doing witchcraft, because you are not heading anywhere. Anything that you do, you must have the goal. The goal is also sometimes called the aim or the main objective. Then what we are calling the objective here, we are referring to specific objective, which must be smart. I have discovered many times that many of my students, they don't know how to craft objectives, which I think is also bad. You should know how to craft specific objectives that are smart. When we are talking about indicators, you will get to know a little more about this. So you have reviewed the existing document. You have tried to map out the conceptual framework. And then on top of that, now you have your goals and objectives. So what next? The next item is now indicators. Remember, in your objectives, in your specific objective, there must be some indicator somewhere embedded in that objective. Without an indicator, the objective become, the objective become loose. Oftentimes, I've discovered that many times when people are asked to craft objective, people will be writing about activities, which I think is a bit bizarre. So you have reviewed existing information. You have tried to map out the conceptual framework. You have your goal and objective, then you have your indicators. Indicators, don't worry about this. We are going to talk about indicators at length. So we have a series of sections on indicators. So indicators are measurable parameters that provide an overall summary of a given situation. If it is a health promotion program, what is that measurable parameter that can give you an overall summary of the health promotion project you are doing? That one is called an indicator. But as I said, we are going to talk at length about indicators. Now, when you have chosen your indicators, then you determine which categories of workers, supervisors, or others that will be responsible for collection of each category of monitoring data. You need to begin to apportion people, to allot people to certain tasks that they should do, certain tasks that people should do. Then you again proceed and develop timetable for the frequency of monitoring. How often do you want such thing to be done? So like in our context of class attendance, I want it to be done daily. Ideally, I should have attendance at the beginning. I should take record of attendance at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Ideally, but it's so cumbersome. We don't have enough human capital to do that. So that I'm able to see whether person X who started at this time, in the middle, the person was still there. At the end, the person was still there. I get the point. So again, this one, you, the project manager, the one to decide. How often, depending on the nature of your project, how often will you be able to collect data related to some aspect of your project? So it is very important. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this one comes out very well in our monitoring plan. I will share with you the monitoring plan probably tomorrow, and you'll be able to see all this. Then when you have come up with the timetable of the frequency of the monitoring data, how frequent it should be collected, then you develop or strengthen the management information system. Management information system is very, very important. We need to strengthen that. Then you proceed now to develop what the monitoring instrument that you want. So basically, you go through those stages, through those steps. So when you comprehend this step very, very well, now coming up with your M&E plan will be something very easy. But the moment you don't have these steps at hand, you don't have these steps at your fingertip, you are finished. Colleagues, I want to tell you, when we talk about steps, we mean steps. When it is step one and you have missed step one, you have started with step 3, there now you're already in witchcraft. When you have started with step 5, that means you have already failed totally. When it is a steps, it is steps. Review existing information related to the project, map out the conceptual framework, drawing linkages between the cause and effect relationship, identify the goals and objectives, what are your indicators, determine which categories of human resource will be responsible for what will be the frequency of collecting data, strengthening the MI information, management information system. Then lastly, developing the tool. So for you to implement an M&E plan, remember, colleagues, I want to pay attention to this. For you to implement an M&E plan, a plan is, as I've said earlier on, it's like a document that has a description of what you are going to do or what you intend to do. So the plan does not implement itself. It is a human person who should use the plan to implement, to accomplish the goal that should be achieved. So that means for you to implement an M&E plan very well, you need to conduct monitoring activities. If maybe we are talking about a record of attendance of lectures, we must be sure that lecture is being conducted. We must be sure that Dr. Omona Kizito has said is going to appear in class at 6, and indeed at 6 he was there, and he gave a lecture. So when such activities are not taking place, then it is useless for you to take attendance record. It is useless for you to continue with other monitoring functions. It will not help. So it is very, very important that we should conduct those monitoring activities. Then you should also be able to analyze the monitoring data. When I get record of attendance for today, the one of tomorrow, and next week, and the week after next week, and I don't analyze it, then it is as good as useless. For example, if it is a record of attendance on Derek, I want to see how many times, first of all, how many times did we have lectures, which we are calling a monitoring activities. So now, how many times did Derek attend those lectures? Then in attending those lectures, how many times did he contribute to the lectures? That means I'm already doing analysis, but I'm analyzing using the monitoring data that was collected. Then now, when I've determined that, then you can write a report that, okay, we had this number of lectures, Derek attended this. Then you draw, you make a recommendation. Derek is a good teacher. He's a good student. Derek deserves to go to the next level. So you now come up with recommendation. So this is how you implement an M&E plan or monitoring plan. You start by conducting those monitoring activities. You need to analyze the data, write a report, and make recommendation. Then you implement the recommendation. Those recommendations, recommendation that have been suggested, if it is not implemented, it is useless. If they say Derek is a good student, so what next? What next? We should be able to go further than that. If Derek is a good student, then we give her we give him maybe as one a prize. we give him a prize, we reward him. Then now, if situation requires, you now modify the monitoring system. But this one is only when it is necessary. And after modifying the monitoring system, lastly, you now continue to monitor. You don't monitor once through the process, through the cycle, and it ends there. It is a continuous process. You monitor until the end, and you recycle. You continue to monitor. So that is that with monitoring. Do we have any question before I proceed?
Yeah,
Colleagues?
good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, so when do you review your monitoring plan? At what stage?
Yeah, the monitoring plan you can review as often as you think is necessary. Point number one, when you have drawn your monitoring plan at the beginning, you need to know it very, very well. Then number two, because you remember these are tools that you are using as a manager, you are using them periodically. So because you are using this tool periodically or consistently or continuously, that means you can review it as soon as you see that it seems not to be leading you to the goal you want to achieve. You can update it. But when you have updated, of course, I expect that by the time you come up with a monitoring plan, it must be a comprehensive plan. So that when it is a comprehensive plan, then it will not require you to be updating regularly. By updating regularly, I mean modifying it. Maybe you have modified after 2 weeks. After another 2 weeks, you have modified, and the project is maybe for 3 years. But after every 2 weeks, you are modifying them. That means you did not do a good job in coming up with the plan. For you to have a good one, maybe if the project is 3 years, probably you can modify like after 2 years of implementation or towards the end of the 3 years, it should be enough. I think that's what I can say, Kotias. Have I answered you? Kotias, have I answered you? Hello, Kotias. I hope the computer is
Yes,
not attending.
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yerget Moses. Hello, Moses.
Thank you, Doctor. I would like
Yes.
to get more light on the difference between the outcome and impact. Apart from the difference where you said 10 years, then the other one's about 2 years. I need more light on that.
Apart from what?
I heard you say an impact can be realized about 10 years later.
Yes.
I'd like to know.
Impact is about creating a lasting result on the recipient of the project benefits. So if maybe those of courtiers who are working in American embassy, I think you know, you are very familiar with this. So maybe I'm teaching you monitoring and evaluation. I want you to really function at a different level. And how you will function at a different level may not be today or tomorrow. Maybe can be like a year later, we have finished the course unit this month. Or 2 years later. Then what about 10 years later? Will you still be doing the same thing the right way? By looking at it, maybe 2 or 3 years later, and we are trying to look at the outcome. But by looking at it after 10 years or 5 years or more, we are trying to look at the impact. Impact, in other words, is a sustained positive result. sustain positive results in the project beneficiaries. If you are training somebody on how to fish, you expect that the person should not know how to fish only at the time of training. So maybe 1 week after the training, the person now doesn't know how to fish. That one means the design you have used is not okay. It means you should craft a proper design where the person will immediately after the training, the person has known how to fish, but also 1 year or 2 years down the road, the person will still be knowing how to fish. Then even 10 years down the road, the person will still be knowing how to fish. Then that means you have done a good job. So basically, that's what I can say about outcome and impact. As I said earlier on, output is an immediate result, immediate deliverable. Then outcome is like intermediate result. Then impact is a long-term result, a long-term desired result that you want somebody to take from the implementation of any given project. Yes, Derek, your hand is up.
Yeah, because is it possible for a project to have an outcome and fail to have the impact? And how, what would be the cause? Thank you, Dr.
I'm not very sure whether a program should not have an impact. I cannot say a program should not have, or a project should not have an impact. Normally, the reason, for example, why you are in school right now, is because you are trying to look at the future. Which the future that you are looking at, you think if you don't continue to study, then you may not fit properly in that future. So when time comes in future and you are able to fit properly in that future, you are able to get your desired dream, then we say, this one has created an impact in you. I get the point. It has created an impact in you. But if you don't, maybe you have come to school today, 1 year or 2 years down the road, you have remained the same. You have never improved at all in whatever you are doing. Then it means the thing did not yield result. I mean what? Impact, did not create impact in you. So the main goal of why we implement projects and program is because we want to create long-term results. We want to create intermediate and long-term results in people or in beneficiaries. So because of that, I'm not sure whether there can be any project where you cannot have that. Maybe the only thing I can say is that the circumstance where you have projects that do not create results is when the design is weak, when the design is very poor, when it is badly implemented. Like in this context, I expect you to know about monitoring and evaluation and to apply it in your day-to-day situations. Now, if I expect you to do that, then it also depends on how I will have taught you. So if I've taught you in a very bad way, probably you cannot implement it in future. That means the design was wrong. The design was not concrete. The design was not strong enough. So in such circumstance, Derek, you can have a project that will not create impact or outcome. Have I answered you?
Yes, Doctor, thank you very much.
Okay, Wanda David.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Omona. I want to just make a small clarification.
Yes. Your network is not stable.
Also, make an inquiry on whether the impact should only be.
Is it my network or is
a positive one?
It's your network.
Dr. Omona, can you hear me now?
No, you are breaking too much.
Dr. Omona.
I think what you do, you send in the chat. Your network is too bad.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make an inquiry on whether the impact should only be a positive one, or we can also have a negative.
Very good. That is a wonderful question. Normally, when you set out to do something, your major intention is not to create negative impact. Your major intention is to create positive impact. So if a negative impact can come as a side effect of what you are doing. For example, I'm teaching you monitoring and evaluation. I don't expect you in future to be the most hostile enemy of M&E. When in future you become the most hostile enemy of M&E, then I've created in you a very huge negative impact. Here again, that one is definitely not good. If it will be as a side effect of the project. Have I answered you, David?
Yes, Dr. Omona. Maybe one last one.
Yes.
On implementing a monitoring plan.
Yes.
At what point do we modify the monitoring system?
I think that one is similar to the question that Curtis asked, where I said, if you concentrate very well at the beginning and you do a good job, then your M&E plan should be sufficient to deliver the project. If at all it should be modified, you can modify it once or maximum twice. But then if you have an M&E plan where you keep modifying too frequently within the project cycle, then that means the design was wrong. It means you did not do a good job at the beginning. So you, in that regard, it cannot deliver the project anything positive. Is that okay?
So at that point, you modify the monitoring system?
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay.
But
right.
the frequency of that modification is very important, David. It should not be the type where you modify after every 2 seconds. If you should modify, then you can modify once within the project cycle or maximum twice. Okay, Lukia Robert. After Lukia Robert, I saw the hand of Cotias up. Cotias, you will come after Lukia Robert.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for your elaborate presentation. I'm trying to inquire for the case of short-term projects, because we know that some projects actually have a short time span, like 3 to 6 months. So may it also have a really lasting impact, or maybe it stops at maybe effects or maybe the outcome level only? Because some projects are only just short duration, like only 3 or 6 months. So may need more clarity over that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have project that takes 3 to 6 months, it depends. Sometimes why you have such project is because of finance. You may not have a sufficient amount of money to deliver something bigger than that. So to deliver, the scope will be narrowed because of the finance. But the intention is that every project must create what? A lasting impact. And project with short duration like that is very rare for them to create lasting impact. And even then, what we are calling the lasting impact of such project also vary. A project that is delivered within 3 to 6 months, if you are to measure its impact, its impact can start after 2 years. As opposed to a project that is bigger than that. If you have a project that is bigger than that, the impact can be after 10 years. But this one of 3 to 6 months, maybe immediately after 6 months, probably 6 months to 1 year, you are still talking about the outcome of the project. Then by the time you reach 2 years, you now talk about the impact of the project. Remember, there is also what we call sustainability. You must be able to sustain every project. You must have a sustainability plan. So if you have a very good sustainability plan, such that even after the project has ended, there will be some significant degree of self-sustainability, then that project is likely to create a more lasting impact. Yes, Cotias. Hello, Kotias.
Yeah, good evening, class. Yes, I was going to supplement on what you are saying, that you can have a project with outputs and you fail to have an impact. For example, we are running a malaria project where you find you're going to give out mosquito nets, and the number of people taking those nets will be like your output. Maybe it's what you're monitoring. But you want behavior change where everyone has to sleep under mosquito nets. At the end of the day, you find those nets, people are using them in the garden and for fishing. Yes, your project had an output, people received nets, but they did not use the nets for malaria prevention. At the end of the day, you're having the number of malaria cases increasing. And when you go back to assess or reassess, you find out that actually people didn't use the nets, didn't sleep under the nets, but they just used them for maybe fishing or gardening. So yes, you can have a project with outputs, but without an impact. And then also the impacts, it can be negative or positive, much as we're aiming at positive impacts. Sometimes you realize that some of the things, if they are not well monitored, you also end up with negative impacts. That was just my supplement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I hope she has added on to what we have already said. Omona Amos.
Yes, good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
Yeah, my question was on the health service delivery, like for example in an health facility. Can this work better there so that we can improve on these services in the health facility?
Yes, it can work. It can work very well because now whatever service, you can take it as maybe reproductive health programs or immunization projects. You can use the same approach to improve it. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, okay, colleagues, I want us to move a little bit, then we call it done for the day. Now, what about evaluation? As I said earlier on, with monitoring, you have to collect regular data. You have to analyze the data. You have to make use of the information that has been derived from the analyzed data in order for you to make decisions and also to be accountable. Then what about evaluation? Evaluation is a periodic assessment of the project relevancy, the project effectiveness, the project efficiency, and also the long-term impact of the project. In general, we say the worth of the project. So you make a judgment whether was the project relevant. Now, in the example that Kotias gave, you have given mosquito net. You want people to sleep under mosquito net, but they're using it for gardening. So you sit back and said, was this project necessary? Was it relevant to the community? Maybe it was irrelevant. That's why they use it. They use the net for gardening. That's why they use the mosquito net for fishing. And they use the mosquito net for something for which it was not intended for. So you go back and you sit down and you evaluate to see whether the project was relevant, whether it was effective. Was it able to achieve, in that regard, still you are interested in whether the project was able to achieve the program results or objective. If the objective is that people should not there should be no malaria in that area, you are interested, you evaluate after you have distributed mosquito net and you have trained people on how to use it. Are people still having the number of cases of malaria? Is it still as before, or it has reduced? So if it has reduced, then you say the project was effective. because your objective has been achieved. So again, you are also interested in what about the economical aspect? What about the resources used? Did you use too much resources more than necessary, or you use as required? So when you have used too much resources more than what is necessary, then we say the project was not efficient. When you have used as minimal resources as possible, we say it was efficient. Maybe in the context of COTIAS, probably you have $10 million. If they have used $10 million to distribute mosquito net and to train people out to sleep under mosquito net, they have used either 10 million or slightly less than that, according to plan, then you say it was efficient. But if you had to come up with supplementary budget, one after another, such that instead of $10 million, you have used maybe $20 million to distribute mosquito net. And at the end of the day, people are still using it for fishing. People are using it for gardening. Then you just say you are not efficient and not even effective. You have used too much resources more than necessary. And your goal or your objective has not been achieved. So there, I want you to read a little more about effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness is about the extent to which you are able to achieve your objectives. Then efficiency is about how much resources you have used. So for every project, you are very sure there is an objective, there is a spending of resources. So you must sit down under evaluation, you sit down and you begin to check out whether the objective has been met or whether you have used resources appropriately. Then what about the impact? You're also interested in the impact, the long-term result that can accrue or that is attributable to the project. Remember, there can be some other long-term result that may mimic what you wanted to see, but they are not directly attributable to that project. So for example, in the context of the distribution of mosquito net, there can be reduction of malaria cases in that area. But that reduction of malaria cases may not be attributable to your distribution of what? Of mosquito net. Maybe people have got immunity against malaria. So these days, mosquito, when the mosquito bite, people don't get malaria. But it has nothing to do with what? With your distribution of mosquito net. So the impact is very, very important. And this impact that we are interested in is the impact which is attributable to your project. It must be highly attributable to the project. So we are saying that evaluation is carried out at intervals of time. Evaluation verifies program design. It is an assessment of planned, ongoing, or completed intervention to determine their relevancy, their efficiency, effectiveness, impact, and also sustainability. So, as we said, sorry, those who have posted in the chat, sometimes I take long to read what is in the chat. Romeo says, impact can be positive or negative, yes. Kotia said, it's possible for a project not to have an impact, but an outcome. But then again, Kotias, I want to bring this to the attention of everybody. For a project not to have an impact, but only an outcome, it also depends on the intention of the people implementing it. So if the implementers are not interested in the impact, then you say, for us, we will stop at this level. Not that it will not have created impact, it might create the impact. Remember, definition of impact varies depending on the project. If it is a project that lasts only for 1 week, the impact can be seen after 6 months. you're already talking about the impact. And if a project lasts for 5 years, or 3 years, the impact can be seen after 10 years. So it should not be intentional for you to say, we don't want to create impact. The major goal of every every project is for you to create impact, to let people's life improve. Impact means the life of people have positively improved for many years later, after the project has died down. And that should be the core goal of what of every project. So is that making sense, Kotias? I hope I've not confused you.
No, it's I am okay because I have met different scenarios, so I'm trying to process them out.
Yeah. Somebody has also posted in the chat. Kemegis has posted in the chat. Impact focuses on the effects of the intervention. Yes, on the effect of the intervention. Yes, but the long-term effect, not just effect. Kemigish, I think you take note of that. Yes, it focuses on the effect, but a long-term one, not the short-term effect. And again, as I've said earlier on, normally our intention is that the effect should be positive one. I'm teaching you monitoring and evaluation. I don't want you at the end of this lesson to hate monitoring and evaluation like nothing, and to be the one to fight against monitoring and evaluation. Then I will have destroyed the future. That means the course unit has created negative impact in you. And normally it is not desired. What is desired is the positive one. Kayaga Maureen. Maureen, are you the one who is outside the Uganda?
Yes, doctor.
Where are you, in UK?
Yes, doctor.
What do you have for us in UK?
We are approaching some. I'll have something, doctor.
So what is the time right now in UK?
It is 20 minutes past 5 p.m.
Okay. For us, we have 20 minutes past 7.
Yes.
So our time is 3 hours ahead of yours.
It's now 2 hours.
Pardon? 2 hours? Hello?
Yes, it's no longer 3. The time changed.
Okay.
It's 2 hours
The
now.
time zone changed, doctor.
Okay. So Maureen said, respond to Kotia, I think no impacts depends on following first step, looking at existing literature before. Let me see. Yeah, there are many who have posted other things. Some of them have already been answered. Okay, so that is that with evaluation. It is an assessment of a plan, ongoing or completed intervention to determine the relevancy, efficiency, effectiveness, or impact, or even sustainability. What does that mean? That means you can do evaluation for a project that is ongoing, or for a project that has been completed. It is possible, or even a project that you have not yet started at all, what we call baseline evaluation. We shall look at that at a later stage. So in evaluation, you assess the extent to which a project is achieving or has achieved its stated outcome or goals. The intent is to incorporate lessons learned into the decision-making process and future programming. That's the intention for evaluation. So evaluation helps to determine the worth or value of project It helps to increase the effectiveness of the project management and administration. Also identify impact which are attributable to the project. I have already talked about this. What we are interested in is every project you are implementing, you need to be sure of how the effect can be attributable to the project, not due to something else. And you should also, I mean, it also helps to measure the cost of the effectiveness. So it helps also in redesigning an ongoing or shape a new one, ongoing project. Yes, if the project is badly designed, if it is badly designed, you can use also evaluation. Maybe you have done midterm evaluation and you have discovered it was badly designed. You can use that stage now to redesign the project. You can use it to redesign the project. Some people were asking whether about what modifying the tool midway before the project. Yes, you can do, but in the event that you have discovered it was not designed well, so you will be allowed to redesign. But again, this when you have redesigned after, if the project is 3 years, you have redesigned after 2 years. Then before the project has ended, you are again redesigning. That you have not learned, because we need to factor in the learning. Why you are redesigning is because you have learned something that probably you had not known before. So this time, when you are redesigning, you are doing it carefully so that it will now be able to achieve results for the project. Sometimes you also do evaluation to satisfy accountability requirements of stakeholders, particularly sponsors. It's very important. So the purpose of M&E is to make informed decisions regarding operation management and service delivery to ensure the most effective and efficient use of resources. Resources are always scarce, colleagues, so you should use resources sparingly. And when you are using resources sparingly, you should be able to monitor and evaluate. Also to determine whether the program or project is on track or has made the needed changes or the needed collections. To determine whether the program or project is yielding the desired result, very important. The result should be the one that you have desired to have, but not as accident, not as a side effect. So we are interested in desired result. What you intend for your beneficiary to have is indeed what they have got. So we are saying that in the project cycle or in the project management cycle, M&E sits in the center of what? Of project monitoring. I mean, project cycle. Project normally starts with project cycle, start with identifying the problem, setting goals and objectives, designing or implementing the plan, then implementation or service delivery, and the process is all round, goes on and on. So monitoring and evaluation is in the heart of the project cycle. You can have monitoring and evaluation at problem identification phase. You can have monitoring and evaluation at goal and objective setting phase. You can have monitoring and evaluation at designing the implementation plan. You can have monitoring and evaluation at implementing and service delivery. You can have monitoring and evaluation at all these stages, which is one monitoring and evaluation for the entire project. You can also do that. Remember the word monitoring. Monitoring, as I've already said, there must be that consistent, there must be that continuous collection of data. It is only evaluation that is done episodically at a particular point in time. But for your monitoring, you must be able to collect data at maybe problem identification. You must be able to collect series of data related to problem identification, series of data related to goals and objective setting, series of data related to designing and implementation plan, series of data related to implementation and service delivery. Then eventually you analyze the whole of it. After you have analyzed the whole of it, then use it now to make decisions. So we are saying that monitoring and evaluation is plays a central role in the M&E project cycle management. It's very, very key. So this is a result chain. When you are doing monitoring, you monitor input, you monitor activities, you monitor output. This is called implementation phase of the project. So these are within the control of the project manager. But then the result phase, which is outcome and impact, they are outside the control of the program manager. That means if you have implemented something very well, then you expect the outcome to also be positive. You expect the desired result to be achieved. So what does that mean? That means the design of your project is very, very important if you are supposed to realize positive results. If you are supposed to realize lasting impact in the people, then the design must be very careful, well planned. Without carefully planning the design, you cannot have good positive results. So this is how result chain looks like. So I think indicators, maybe I want to first leave it at this. We will talk about indicators another time. Do we have any concern, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Dr. Omona.
Good evening.
Thank you for today's lecture. We have looked at monitoring, but my concern is we talked about the evaluation, first of all, as a periodic assessment of a project. But how often should a project be evaluated? Secondly, we have government projects which are monitored every now and then, but they keep on failing. I really don't know why. Can you throw more lights about that? Thank you.
Okay. About the frequency of monitoring in a project, it varies according to the project. If you have projects that are within 1 week, the frequency of evaluation, you can evaluate maybe before and then after the project has ended. Before you implement, we call it baseline evaluation. Then you again evaluate after the project has ended. That means you will have evaluated twice. But if you have a project that lasts for 5 years, you can evaluate more than twice. You can also have midterm evaluation. Then you have end of project evaluation. Then you will also evaluate many years after the project has ended, what they call impact evaluation. You can evaluate to see whether it has left impact in the lives of the beneficiaries or not. So that is how you do it in terms of the frequency of evaluation. Then about why a project failed, why there are a lot of programs that government has, I think I don't want to talk much about that because I might be political. But I think we don't have the will in government. You know, it is a system. And when you have a system where majority in the system do not have the will to do it that way, then it becomes a sugar-coated stuff. In paperwork, that's what it should be, but in the actual implementation, people are not serious. and they are not interested. When you try to make them accountable and do the right way, it should be then they turn around and fight you. That's how I can answer it, Alex.
Dr. Omona.
Yes.
Yes, Doctor, I wanted to just ask Doctor to say something a bit about why government projects. I think just like you try to don't want to comment much. They're basically political programs. They're never really intended to really make people better. Most times they're just about patronage. For example, if you look at the current the parish development model we had, there was Ntandikwawa, Bonabaga. These are basically the same things. So just like you said, they're really never, for me, with the good intentions, they're just basically, to get political support and stuff, not really for that long-term impact we are looking at, and maybe to benefit people, just to score political points. Basically, I think it's just that.
Yeah, it is true. It is true, but also we also lack the will to do that. So as Roy has said, is about patronage. People are interested in keeping you busy so that you know something is taking place and you can give them what they have calculated in you. Yes, Alonda, your hand is up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just like that previous slide which you showed us,
yes.
M&E is supposed to be at different aspects of any project cycle. So I think our programs fail because most times people look at M&E like only on the evaluation part, at the end of the implementation. It's not like, because like you showed us, it should be at the problem identification, goal objective setting, and all that. So in all aspects, there should be some kind of M&E. So if you come up with a program and you only want to find out what impact it will have, but you didn't do proper M&E while in the problem identification phase, it's like you've already failed to plan, and you're like going towards doom. I think that's why most projects fail. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So in other words, what Alonda is saying is lack of commitment to do monitoring and evaluation. This is Kamukama. Kamukama, you are making phone call.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Dr. Omona, I request you to visit the chat because I'm seeing so many comments there before we end the session. Thank you.
Okay, Lukia Robert, your hand was up.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Mine is a small inquiry. One, may I know if it is possible for a project to have a positive outcome and fail to have a positive impact, maybe at the end of the project, it has a negative impact. For instance, can maybe be due to maybe when the project beneficiaries, they fail to maintain the planned interventions in the due end of the project course. And then can the project have a negative impact and then while outcome still be positive? Just an inquiry, thank you.
Yeah, that one is a bit complicated, but it is possible. It is possible that it can have a positive outcome. Then, of course, what Robert is talking about, those are called outliers. Those are outliers. They are rare scenarios. They are there, but they are not common. But you know, in life, you cannot say never. Be careful with using the word never. That this one will never happen. You will be disappointed. So they can happen, but they are not very common. Is that okay, Robert?
All right, sir, well noted. Hello, I've got it right now. Okay.
Okay. Those whose hand are up, you can wait a bit. Don't lower your hand, leave it there. But I wanted to also check on the chat.
So can I help you with the chat?
Nyamugisa Gloria say, can we share the slide? Yes, definitely, I'll give you the slide. This one, they are yours, I will give you. But then before that, I wanted us to enroll on Moodle for this. Probably will enroll in the course of next week. Then the assignment that I want to give, I want to also put it on Moodle, unless the program, the process becomes tricky. But if not, that's what I want to do, so that, Moodle can help us to keep track of what we have done for longer period of time. Sometimes people may begin to complain along the way, this and that, but when you go back to the Moodle, you can find out on the level of activities that people have engaged in. Somebody said, Alonda said, the frequency of evaluation is usually in the project plan. Yes, very good. The frequency of evaluation is in the project, in the M&E plan. We are going to look at the M&E plan tomorrow. Eston is saying, like the car dustbin project. I don't know what is meaning. Like the car dustbin project. Someone is saying, I think, okay, why project failed? Why project failed? Because M&E is only done in some aspect and not done in others. And from the challenges or the why we use M&E, some people, like especially monitoring, some people do monitoring for bad intention. If the intention is just to find faults, then not to learn, then that one becomes a regrettable reason for doing evaluation. So it does not improve anything. So negative impact can be due to implementation gaps. Yes, it can be, but majorly negative impact comes because of poor design. Not just implementation, just from the beginning of the design of the project is already poor. Then the impact, the negative impact comes about. And Muhammad is saying, is the evaluation in government based on the baseline targets, or they depend on how the project have been conducted? Maybe Mohammed, can you throw a little more light on this? Yes, Ali Mohammed.
Dr. Omona, thank you. This is Mohammed. I was just asking whether, because Cautious was giving an example about the mosquito nets. Yes. So I was just asking whether sometimes these government-based projects, they just evaluate according to how the project has been running, or they go back to the grassroots and find out what were their objectives and they tick them off whether they have succeeded or not. Like I think Roy was also asking, I think it was Roy, why he was also asking, why is it that these projects, after even evaluation, they do fail? Is it because they just evaluate on how the project is running, or they base on the root objectives as to why they initiated the project? It is the question which I'm trying to raise and understand.
Okay. Now, I think we have the government project, ladies and gentlemen. This is straightforward. These people who implement this project, they are very highly informed. So me, I think it's a carefully planned process that failed the system. Not that people don't know what they are supposed to do. They know very well, they know what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to do it. But then they don't have, they have the, what can I say? I don't care attitude. Okay? It's too much. And because that I don't care attitude, not only I don't care attitude, but also personal gain. People want to attach how much they are able to personally gain from that. And because that tendency is too high, then they don't concentrate on the thing, whether it succeeds or fail. If somebody has seen is not going to personally benefit from it, the person doesn't care. Yeah? So that kind of thinking, that kind of mentality is too much in government activities or projects. People seem not to care much, but they are well informed. They know what should be done. And when you begin to point the gun at them, they will show you that they are doing the right thing because they are highly informed. So, but the will now to proceed to the logical conclusion is the one that dies along the way. And it is not on a one passion thing. It is now system rooted. That's how it becomes very difficult to fight it. Almost that's the nature of thinking of all the government managers and also people who are implementing. People may not directly scoop what is theirs because they don't have the ability, but not that when they get the opportunity to have it, they will not do. When they get the opportunity to have it, they also swindle. When they have not yet swindled, it's because the opportunity has not yet come, but they keep waiting. And they wait when they're in the system. That's how it is really an anarchy. It is really very, very bad. I'm sorry for talking much about it. I didn't want to spend time on that because it is a bit political. David, your hand is up. Yes, David. Wanda David. Okay, maybe it is an old arm. Colleagues, I think this is where I want us to stop for today. Tomorrow we are going to meet at 9:30. Then somebody was asking when we are to meet physically. Will it be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I think we will meet on Saturdays only. But on one condition, the condition is that we will start early as 9, and we will stop as late as we feel we are satisfied. When we are satisfied that we should stop at 9 p.m. in the night, that's where we will stop. So I don't want people to come on Saturday. Then when they have come, by midday, they start telling you about the departure time for the bus because they have come from far. That one will not work. So when we are to meet physically, if I've said on Saturdays only, then that means you must prepare for it. I will have left it deliberately for you to prepare. So that when that Saturday comes, you don't begin to create new excuses. And why I've put it on Saturdays on, I also don't want to drain your pocket so much. I know sometimes it is expensive traveling from wherever you are. And after you have traveled like that, then again, eventually you are supposed to have accommodation, feeding, and the like, which sometimes is very expensive. So we are only trying to minimize on gentleman agreement that we can have it on Saturdays. And when we are having it those Saturdays, I expect maximum attendance and maximum cooperation so that we can be able to consolidate on the time loss. Then when we are doing it physically, there are two of our colleagues who are outside. Maureen, are you there?
Yes, I am, Doctor.
Yes. Who is the other colleague of yours who is also outside?
I don't know.
Now you see that one becomes a problem. What you do, there's this email which I sent to you, to Derek, and I copied you people in. I copied you there, and there's another colleague of yours who's also outside. That means one of you should be a leader.
Okay.
One of you should be a leader, and you will agree with me when I can also take you through the online lesson. Is that okay?
All right.
Maybe you as I can be taking you through the online lesson on Saturdays or on Fridays or whatever it is. For something of that sort. Then in the main class, I'll be dealing with them on Fridays.
Okay, let me try to find out which is Dr.
You better find out. You are only two. I don't want people to come in the middle of this course Then people come, I'm also outside. I'm also outside. Then eventually you have every grade in class is outside. Why I've created.
You can suppose I'm going to miss on Saturday. I want to attend that one online only. Is it possible?
No, it's not possible.